What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. Got quite a bit to speak about today as the rumour mill is in overdrive once again. And let's start off with João Palhinha, a brand new name for you guys from Sporting Lisbon.
For this season, anyway.
Yeah, for this season. But a publication from Portugal called Jornal de Notícias are talking, and they're saying that Tottenham Hotspur are expected to make an offer for Palhinha. Antonio Conte wants to strengthen it in midfield, and he believes he is the ideal player. Sporting Lisbon value him at 40 million euros, and Spurs should match that with their first offer, apparently. First of all, do you know much about him? And second of all, if you do know much about him, do you want him?
I mean, I've heard a bit about him. I remember when we were interested in him last summer, there was talks about him. I think Nuno wanted him in central midfield. Again, he's quite like, I'm pretty sure he's a Portuguese international. He's quite good for Sporting Lisbon. He's one of those where he's quite effective, like in the centre in terms of like breaking up plays. A bit more of a defensive midfielder than attacking, but he's a fairly decent technician on the ball. He's pretty comfortable on the ball as well. Again, quite similar of the mould to what we have in terms of defensive solidity, but maybe could potentially be a slight upgrade on Højbjerg, but nothing. I wouldn't say definitely an upgrade, because you could argue the way Højbjerg can up his game, he's can be very, very effective as well. So I think Palhinha might be a bit more consistent, but I don't know. It's not one where I think he's a massive upgrade on what we have.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I haven't really seen him play too many times, but he does have quite a long contract. It lasts until 2026, but he does have a release clause in the contract for 60 million euros, but apparently their asking price is below that. So, I mean, if they valued him so much, they'd probably hold out for that release clause, wouldn't they?
Probably. If his contract is that long to go. He's at that age as well. He's coming into his prime for a centre mid, 26 years of age. So, again, it could add depth, which would be good, but I don't think he's one where he takes our team to a new level or anything like that. But maybe in depth it does.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it just when Sporting Lisbon, maybe they just need money at the moment, but if he's got a release clause of 60 and they're willing to let him go for 40, and his market value here on transfer market's only 23, but who knows how reliable that is. I'm just not too sure. I guess I'd need to see some YouTube compilations.
That'll do it.
Exactly, just to get me on side, just like it did for Lamela.
We'll be desperate for him after that.
But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Christian Eriksen. Peter O'Rourke is saying that Thomas Frank believes that Brentford have a very good chance of keeping Christian Eriksen at the club beyond this season, despite interest from other clubs. Fabrizio Romano is saying that 3 clubs are already working on signing a Christian Eriksen in the summer. Obviously, he's on a Bosman. We've spoken about him at length about our kind of views about wanting him back at Spurs, and it's still the same. I think he's performing at a really high level for Brentford. But do you believe Thomas Frank when he says they think they've got a good chance of keeping him?
Yeah, I do believe him, but a good chance isn't definite, is it? So I always think if there's an opportunity to. I always think if we get Champions League football, then I think we do become a very good option for him. I was just watching him yesterday, and some of the passes he made, and Brentford attackers were screwing up. I was thinking, imagine Kane and someone ended these passes like they used to be. It will just be a delight, and I think he's a must at the way he's playing in the moment. I think it's gone for me to being like, yeah, I'll take him, to be like, no, we need him. We actually need him.
I was pretty much convinced after the first few games for Brentford. I really was. I mean, the guy's been unbelievable. Especially for what he's been through as well. It feels like he's better than he was before.
He's playing so well at the moment. He's now a star in a team where the quality around him, he's upped everyone's game. And I wasn't sure if he was capable of that, and he's showing he is. And if he can do that for Brentford, imagine what he can do for us with the quality that we have in the forward line. So I think we need to try as our hardest to get him through the door, even if it's on a 2 or 3 year deal. That'll be fantastic for us. And but look, maybe he might see Tottenham as he's been there and done it, and he wants a new challenge, different challenge, which would be a shame, but I wouldn't blame him for it either.
Let's move on. Let's talk about another name who we've been speaking about a lot is Steven Bergvine. Gary Jacob of the Times is saying that Ajax have indicated they will plan to resurrect their interest in Steven Bergvine after the Tottenham forward said he is open to leaving the club in the summer. And yeah, Ajax has said they want to resurrect Bergvine's career. at this point. I mean, it's a shame with Stevie B. I've made it very clear of my feelings of Bergvine. I'd like to see him get more minutes. Even Conte, after the game on the weekend, says it is unfair on Steven Bergvine. He does deserve more minutes, but he's not getting it because he recognises him as solely as just a striker, which is a bit annoying, to be honest. And to see him leave, I know he's going to make a good career for himself.
Yeah, and I think he deserves to move on and get minutes. I just don't think Tottenham, for one reason or another, things just haven't worked out here at Tottenham. I don't think I think like he was off form for a bit, but then he has started to get his form back, and then he's seen less minutes as soon as he's got his form back, which is a bit strange. But I feel like the quality we have, I feel like we need players who are not entitled for minutes and actually will try their hardest to get back in the team. As much as I don't believe he's not trying hard, I just think we need a different kind of mentality. We don't need a player who's kind of, should I be here, should I not, I deserve more minutes. We need a player who fights their hardest to be on that pitch, and maybe that's why we're probably best just with a change in the summer.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I really rate the player, but yeah, you're probably right. It's probably the right decision for all parties if he does move on in the summer.
We can let go of him and Lucas. Do you reckon we can see us letting go of both?
Yeah, I can actually. I think both of them are very likely to leave in the summer, and we're likely to bring in more names in the summer. So,
and we need a rebuild in the front line if that happens.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have like 3 solid guys in the front line in Kane, Son, and Kulusevski. But we just need to get that kind of squad going and get more options there, because if one of them gets injured, we're absolutely screwed. And in terms of the options, let's move on to the next guy, which is Lautaro Martinez, as Gary Jacobs says that Tottenham continue to stay interested in Martinez this summer. Inter want around 60 to 70 million pounds, and the player wants Champions League football. Do you think that this is a viable option? I mean, do you think it's realistic?
If we get Champions League football, yeah,
it's realistic if we do get Champions League.
I do, yeah. I do think it's realistic because he played under Conte at Inter. They know each other very well. He was very good for Conte Inter. I think the money will be there for us to spend on him if we do get Champions League football, and if we do get Bergvine and Lucas out the door. I don't see this being unrealistic, especially we nearly got him last summer as well if it wasn't for the Lukaku deal. And if it is true that Inter are willing to do a deal, if we get Champions League football, it is realistic. I think if we don't get Champions League football, it's unrealistic. That's what I think.
So it's like what we spoke about yesterday, pretty much, bringing in someone of this ilk and maybe bringing back a Brian Hill in terms of Bergvine and Mora, unless we're going to spend more money and bring in someone else as well.
Look, it depends how much we'll recoup. If we get Champions League football, I envisage there's a decent budget without selling players going to be available to us. But then you've got to add
so much to bring in.
But then you've got to add player sales. So what if we get, say, 25 million for Sanchez, we get 30 million for Bergvine, we get 15 to 20 million for Lucas. You can add that all up. We get one of Emerson or Doherty goes, maybe we get 30 million or more or something for Reguilon, or something like that. All of a sudden, you get an extra 100 million plus to play with if you can sell the right player, get the right sales. So that could be on top of, say, 100 million we get for being in the Champions League. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, you've got a sizable budget there. So I think Martinez could be realistic in that scenario.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's move on. Let's talk about Thomas Souček. I can't really see this one being quite likely, but the Express are saying that Antonio Conte is an admirer of West Ham's Thomas Souček, and Spurs are currently watching his contract developments. Apparently, he's in deadlock with West Ham about his contract renewal.
Yeah, I mean, they'd rather kill him than sell him to us, I think, West Ham, let's be honest. That's probably how they feel. But look, I think Souček would be good for us because I think he'd be a player. We need a bit more of a threat from set pieces. He obviously provides that, especially if we brought in someone like Eriksen. Imagine him swinging balls to Souček doing late runs in the box. That'd be a very good thing for a very good way to go and things like that. I feel like a lot of the time when we need to go a bit more direct, we don't really have the players for it. As much as Kane is decent in the forward line, I feel like apart from him, we don't have much options. We want to go a bit more direct. And as well, from set pieces in general, I actually don't think we're a very big side. From that sense, like if you look at our back three, for example, Romero, Dyer, and Davis, like apart from Dyer, the other two aren't the best in the air, unfortunately. So we could do with some height. So I think he could definitely benefit our team. But West Ham are never going to sell to us, and they'll much rather sell abroad. Look, West Ham, whether we like it or not, they see us as direct rivals now, and that's the reality. And they're never going to sell to not only to a direct rival in terms of rivalry between in London, but also direct rivals in the league. We're close enough to them in the league where they see us as direct competition. And on top of all that, they're probably going to lose Declan Rice in the summer. So are they really going to lose Rice and Souček in the same summer? I can't see this one happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's very highly unlikely. I mean, the guy's market value since he's joined West Ham has quadrupled. The guy's got a number of years left in his contract to 2024 as well. I imagine that this contract situation will get done for them, especially if Declan Rice leaves as well.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Let's talk about Alfie Divine. Ali Gold has got a bit of an update on Divine. He says Spurs will now consider loan moves for Alfie Divine for next season, so they do not hold back his progress. And the player is also believed to be pushing for a loan spell to build on his development. Tottenham turned down a loan move of Leyton Orient last year, as they felt at this stage of his development was better served by spending time split between the first team training sessions and working with the development squad. So I guess this is good news, because I'd like to see Divine get first team football, maybe in where it be League One, League Two, something like that.
Very Pochettino, that, rather not load him out and keep him around the club. And look, Divine showed, and even though it was against a non-league team, but he came on against Marine and he got a goal, and that's not easy for a player of his age, or when he was at 16 at the time. So clearly this guy's got ability. Every time I read about the youth matches, he seems to be shining every single time. He seems to be, and he's still, 17, and he's playing at a very good level. So this guy, I think, has got a big future. Everyone seems to have high hopes for him, and hopefully a loan deal next season. Look, even if it's in League Two, I think that would be very, very beneficial for him. Obviously, it'll be great if it's in League One, or I don't think Championship will be ready for that right now. But any kind of loan deal, getting some first team minutes on a regular basis at that age would be invaluable. And I'd love to see how he progresses if that happens. Yeah, absolutely. And if it does happen, obviously, all eyes will be on that loan move. I think a lot of people will be watching it very closely. And talking about loan move, let's talk about the next guy as well, Dane Scarlett. Ali Gold says that Tottenham's plan is to loan out Dane Scarlett next season. Tottenham are expecting to receive more approaches from Championship sides, although a move to League One might suit the young player better at this age. What do you think? Do you think Championship or League One for Dane? I think my heart says Championship. He'll rip it up and he'll come Premier League next season and it'll be all amazing. But my head's telling me probably League One. From what I've seen of him when he's played, I think you don't want to put him in a situation where he's just drowning out of no fault from his own. You know what I mean? Where he's not able to swim in those waters. I don't think you want to do that to him. You don't want to kill his confidence like that, because all of a sudden, if he goes to a Championship club and he's not fit, and then he's not really, because he's just not physically ready for that level yet, and then he might leave it thinking I'm rubbish, and and he'd lose all his confidence, and he won't have that bravado about him. But maybe in League One it might suit him a bit better. You look at Troy Parrott. He struggled very bad in the Championship, and it took him a while to get going again. And now he's back at a level where he's scoring consistently. He's finally playing well. But maybe if he started League One, it might have been a different transition. So I think I would look, if Championship teams are in for him, it might be worth giving it a go for 6 months, but I think it's probably better to go for League One straight away. It's a safer option, I think.
I think, me personally, first of all, it's imperative to find the right team for him to go to, because we've seen with Troy Parrott, he's had a few bad loan moves where we haven't found the right club for him to go to, and it seems as though the way MK Dons have played this season, they've been smashing teams. They've had a really good season by all accounts. I think they made the playoffs or third. Yeah, they made the playoffs. I think they did. So he's been in a very attacking side, and it's played to his strengths. Whether it was before, he was at Millwall, right? Didn't play really attacking football, didn't really play to his strengths, and on top of that, his head wasn't screwed on. Dane Scarlett seems like his head is screwed on, and I'd like to see him, whether it's a Championship or League One, go to a side that can play to his strengths. It's very important to find a club that can do that. In terms of whether it be League One or Championship, maybe it's a case of sending him out 6 months to League One, and if he smashes it out, then maybe promoting him to the Championship for the second half of the season.
Yeah, that might be the best way to do it. because you just don't want to throw him in the deep end when he's not ready for it.
Yeah, completely agree there. And at that age, there's no rush. There's completely no rush.
I feel like we did that earlier in the season. We just we started him in games where he wasn't ready for, and he was just getting bullied, and he was getting physically outmatched by even these defenders weren't good. They were like Passos defenders, but he's a 17-year-old kid. What could you expect? You know what I mean?
All right, and last but not least, the Spurs kits for next season have been leaked. Well, the home shirt and the third shirt is what you see on screen right now. Home shirt, I mean, it's got that yellow trim, yellow and blue trim with some nice lining in it. But it's pretty much the same as this year's shirt, to be honest, apart from that. The third kit is very out there, isn't it? This kind of blue, very weird design, psychedelic design. What's your opinions on them?
For some reason, we never do well in light blue. Whenever we play light blue, we always give pathetic performances. I always feel like that. And maybe I don't know if it's a correlation, but I don't mind that shirt. It's quite nice. I quite like the shirt this season, that space kind of vibe that's going. And they're going for a more, different design than just on that in terms of the third shirt, which I quite like. I wouldn't mind wearing that. The home shirt is just, apart from all, what's the difference? This shirt, it's just
the lining.
Lines
it's just the lining is different. That's it.
That's it, really, isn't it? So nothing really to shout about there. I just don't like the red. Why do they persist with red?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I don't understand. Just get the red off our kit.
How many years? It's like every sponsor we have must be red.
Why?
Thompson to AIA.
Why do you? Is it that hard to say? Look,
Mansion. You know what I mean?
All red.
Everything.
Just don't know red. Maybe because it's more dominant colour that is easier to see or something. I don't know.
What's wrong with blue?
Yeah,
maybe blue. You know what I mean?
Come on, black.
Yeah.
Well, we can still see the AIA. It doesn't have to be red. Come on.
But anyway, that is the leaked shirts for next year. That's the home and the third shirt. We'll see what happens with the away shirt. But that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.